To start with my job, I assist the Ministry of Enterprises in the program committee job. So if you have any comments on the long-term working program, if you have any ideas and comments, this will be my job to listen to you, and through the reference group and through sitting during the committee meetings, do something about it. If you have any questions, kind of hands-on, how to apply and what are the rules, will be Andrei and Johan. And then I'm even being part of evaluation process, but not really evaluating, but we, program committee members, we follow the process itself. Shortly speaking, if you are applying and you are curious, what is the result, where are you on the list, you can contact me again, and then I can give you information. I cannot influence the evaluation process, but I can support you in a sense, give you information, how does it look like, who is against you, who is behind you, and so on. This is just to give you a general introduction, what you can expect from different people having different assignments. As Johan mentioned, that what is interesting with the Horizon 2020, that it covers everything. So it's kind of follow-up to the previous things we had, and now we have excellent science, which is more like kind of basic. I'm going to jump into those circles pretty soon. We have industrial leadership, and we have sociality challenges, and you can see that the money, they are kind of almost equally distributed. First comes societal challenges, 38%, and industrial leadership may be the smallest one, but at the same time, ICT is a real part of it. I'm going to talk about it. So my presentation now is to guide you, if you are within ICT area, what part of Horizon could be interesting for you to apply to. This is what I'm going to talk about. Here, we start with what is included in those circles. So if you look at the tackling societal challenges, you have health, you have food security, you have secure and clean, efficient energy, you have transport questions, you have climate, you have inclusive, innovative, and reflective societies. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later in details. You have even secure societies. So you can see that they cover our life in a sense that what problems we have, what we should take care of in the coming future. At the same time, the Commission, they would like to support our strengths within our current industry. This is why we have creating industrial leadership and competitive frameworks, and then we have leadership in enabling and industrial technologies. And really, I'm sitting in the program committee for ICT, this little part of it there. So this is the heart of ICT within Horizon when it comes to technology. Otherwise, if we go on, there is nanotechnology, materials, biotechnology, space. At the same time, what is interesting again with Horizon, that it's more innovation driven in a sense that the program itself covers as well access to risk finance, innovation in SMEs, which was not really present in the frame program before. In a sense, it was more area-oriented. And at the same time, there is one piece which ICT is still with, but not in that extent. It's excellence in the science base. And you have frontier research, which is mainly European Research Council. You have future and emerging technologies. I'm going back to it. And ICT is part of it in some parts. Otherwise, you have Marie Curie. You remember this is kind of supporting mobility of researchers. ICT is not part of it this time. Research infrastructure is very important for ICT. So if I press button here, you can see where is ICT. So you can say that ICT in Horizon, it's more like enabling technology. And at the very end, we are everywhere. We are not really, when it comes to food security and other things, bio-based economy, but we can always claim that we are still part of it. But compared to other areas, we are not that active over there when it comes to money being spent. Okay, let's start with ICT in excellent science, which is more basic science compared to the other areas. and you have future and emerging technologies. There is open part, which is not technology specific. ICT can be part of it. It's more like, you know, because there is a question for the whole European community, what does it mean innovation? So Commission decided to use the technology readiness level to judge it. So you should be familiar with it from now on. It's from 1 to 9, and NASA introduced it, and American, US militaries use it, and so on, and Volvo using it. So I think that will be very important for you to understand what are the expectations within different programs, how you measure innovation, how close you are to the products. There is the FED Proactive, and for example, I will be just, you will have all the slides from today in electronic form. So I'm going to just mention the most important on each one, otherwise it would take too long. But for example, when FED Proactive, we have high-performance computing, which is becoming very important as part of the infrastructure for whatever is happening within Horizon and research. What is very interesting here, that we have 2 flagships. Flagships, it's the initiative which started 2009 with the many flagships, kind of long-term projects. Those 2 who won the latest competition, Graphene and Human Brain Project, they will go on for 10 years. And what is interesting that Graphene is the new material, and of course they are kind of starting working, not really now, but we expect that will be a lot of ICT implementations in the future coming with that technology. And Chalmers, they are coordinators, so we, even VINNOVA, we are part of the, we call it flag era, which means organizations of the founding agencies in Europe supporting those flagships, and we are part of it as VINNOVA. Otherwise, we have another project, Human Brain Project, which is about, as you can see, human brain. They want to do more medical bioscience, but at the same time, for example, Karolinska Institute, they are part of it, and they are responsible for the platform for neural informatics, because there will be a lot of computer simulation, a lot of virtual reality visualization. So you can see that even this kind of, you can expect farthest away area, like excellent science, ICT is very important as a tool. At the same time, as I mentioned, the ICT is very important when it comes to infrastructure, how you share information between researchers, all the e-infrastructures, as we call it. Research data alliance, whatever, it's kind of, you know, how you save data, how you share, how it make it very easy to you know, exchange between researchers. But I think that all the European researchers are very used to it already. At the same time, high-performance computing is very important as well, because all the areas, they become more and more intensive when it comes to computing power. Okay, ICT industrial leadership, as I mentioned, this is the most technology-driven when it comes to ICT part of Horizon. So if you are more towards technology, this will be the part you should really follow. If you are more into applications, that you should go and check those societal challenges part. So this industrial leadership covers components and systems, next generation computing, future internet is there, content technologies. I'm going to go a little bit deeper in next slides, information management, even robotics and smart spaces, and even micro and nano electronics with photonics and so on. If you look at the components and systems, you know, you can say generally that a lot of those areas, it's about integration, that we have a lot of pieces of technologies, and now the idea is to integrate them into, very often if you add sensors, you would call it cyber-physical systems. And yes, they are organized, those calls you are going to see, because Andrei is going to talk about it, they organize this in 3 related topics: smart cyber-physical systems, smart system integration, and even advanced thin and organic and large area electronics. It's, as I understood it, following the working program, it's most application within the lighting industry. At the same time, you know, everything is connected within Horizon, so those topics will be used for strategic research agenda and energy efficient buildings. Advanced computing, this was very interesting for me because I'm a computer scientist from the beginning. And this advanced computing, people, when I was sitting in the program committee meetings, they were complaining it's not that big compared to the previous 7th frame program. What is interesting that Commission, when they create working program, they have their own roadmaps. They consult industry. I know that Ericsson was very active, ABB was very active in certain parts. And for example, the Commission thinks that low power ICT is the future, is the niche we can use in Europe when it comes to industry. Integration of advanced components on all levels in computing systems, coordinating with work in the future internet area, cloud computing. So, you know, there is a lot of these areas, these kind of technologies, they're coming even in other parts of Horizon. This is very important to remember. So to navigate, it's not that easy, but at the same time, I hope that after our presentations and some additional documents, you will be able to navigate a little bit. Future internet is very important, both when it comes to architecture and even the technology for it, like smart optical and wireless network technologies, 5G technology. Ericsson is very important in that context. They're part of the 5G private-public partnership. At the same time, there is other technologies part of the internet as the technology, like cloud, how, you know, public sector can use cloud to increase productivity. There is even software development connected to that. Very often they mention the very distributed systems and data-intensive system. At the same time, you know, what is interesting again, that since we are talking about innovation, so sometimes even, you know, parts like collective awareness platforms, it's more like social innovation. It's kind of connected. A good example will be maybe LinkedIn and Facebook, you know, how to support what kind of technologies are important there. And even those money there for social science to see how you can create certain critical mass within certain areas. And there is another part which is connected to innovation. It's web entrepreneurship, which is kind of new one, in a sense that Commission decided to make it explicit within this ICT leadership, how to support web-based business ideas. Content technology information management is very important as well and interesting. You mentioned big data, as everyone is familiar with today. You mentioned as well machine translation, because it's very important in Europe. We speak so many languages, so translation and, you know, if you buy today whatever mobile, you can translate, dictate, and so on. So it's a lot of things happening already, but the idea is to even improve the technology. What was very interesting in this part is that tools for creative media and learning industries. And this, personally, I like a lot, these learning industries and media, because I think that education is coming a little bit later again, because I think it's very important that we are using even, you know, the latest ICT and the gamification and virtual reality and everything. It comes the whole way into education. We haven't seen it so far. Usually the technology is being used to make the traditional way of, like now, you know, I'm still talking to you instead of showing, you know, 3D models and kind of illustrate. So it's still, I think that we have a lot of things to do to improve that. Robotics, ABB is part of it, and it's based on some road maps in collaboration with robotics, again, private-public partnership. What is interesting that the idea is to come maybe more towards the service robots, because in Sweden and IBB, of course, included, we are very good industrial robotics, robots and so on. It will be a lot of applications of it in the social sciences. I'm going back to that. Yes, if you go to micro and nanoelectronics and photonics, there are key enabling technologies. They are more kind of traditional. And here, the idea is that they are coming from lower technology readiness level, which means kind of more basic research. And at the same time, they are trying to look into the full innovation and value chain within the area, how you go from the ideas to the ready products. And again, there is created photonic private-public partnership in Europe to support it. Another part of Horizon, which is very interesting, is Factory of the Future. And usually Commission and people in Europe think that maybe it's the way to get production back to Europe. Because I think that you are, I don't know if you go to the class also maybe don't have it, but MediaMarkt, they have 3D printer. It's very clumsy, it's very expensive, it's kind of plastic something. I go with my friends at lunchtime. But there is a lot of things really happening. So people think that this could be future, that we start producing using different tools. And in this area, we mentioned the process optimization, ACT-enabled modeling, simulation, analytics, and forecasting. And generally, ICT innovation for manufacturing SMEs, because very often SMEs, they are short-sighted a little bit, not all of them, but at the same time, if they come from the very traditional areas, they have to produce something within 1-2 years. So the idea as well to open them to the possibilities coming with ICT. At the same time, within this leadership, industrial leadership, there is, we call it cross-cutting activities, which means that they provide technology platforms to all of them. And one of those is Internet of Things and platforms for connected smart objects. Everyone is talking about it. It's kind of coming. There is a lot of issues from the energy, batteries, and communication, and so on. So this is very interesting. But at the same time, again, there are some more social aspects, like human-centric digital age, when it's more for social sciences, trying to understand how technology is changing our everyday life. Because if you look at the Facebook, for example, you can create certain questions. You can engage people within those questions. So sometime when I hear very young people, they think that this with politics is kind of old-fashioned. Now it's Facebook. So, but anyway, it's very important for society as a whole to understand how technology changing our human behavior and our way to communicate. Because some friends of mine, they don't want to be part of Facebook. Some people living there, so it's kind of interesting anyway to look at it. At the same time, of course, there are some basic things like cybersecurity, trustworthy ICT again. I'm going to go back to that because it's in one of the challenges, because cybersecurity is very important. At the same time, they want Commission, they want more cooperation between national contact points, exchange of experiences, but it's very important, it's why they mention it explicitly. At the same time, again, what I mentioned already, there are certain things kind of supporting the innovation system as the whole, like support for access to finances. What was very interesting here that even business angels, they're being considered as part of the system, how they can help and invest in the new innovative ICT companies being created. It's being implemented with much bigger bodies and money as well, but generally the access to risk finance is very important. Because generally, and Andrea I think is going to talk about it, the SMEs are getting another focus within Horizon. Because the Europe thinks, and it's totally right, and everyone agrees, that it's very important to support SMEs. And because before the SMEs, you were, I'm sure you were involved in previous programs. Usually there were some, bureaucratic problems, or it took too long. And Andrea is going to talk about it, how Commission is trying to simplify rules for SMEs, and what does it mean, to encourage them to be part of it. At the same time, innovative entrepreneurship support, which is very interesting because this is kind of building culture, because very often you can say that people starting companies, they are special people. It's not only enough to be a great researcher and have big technology idea, it's a certain lifestyle. It's kind of certain way of thinking, taking risks and so on. So this is a long list kind of how students at university, high schools should be taught how to run companies, how to start companies. For them, it should be very easy, to just try for a while. And I don't think we are there today, but it's kind of happening a lot, because I used to say that even ICT bubble was good for Sweden, because a lot of researchers, they were brave enough to go over to the industry and start their own companies. It's ended how it ended. For some, they succeeded and went on. I have a few friends like that. So I think that this kind of culture that it's easy, it's kind of can be done. At the same time, of course, it's connected that if you fail, it's okay. I mean, you just gain certain experience, you go on. So this part is very important. The next one, Open Disruptive Innovation Scheme, is very important as well because it says that we should even try kind of, not crazy ideas, but kind of risk ideas, because maybe there is a big success and big money to be gained back. So early stage, high risk innovative SMEs in ICT should be supported. And it was kind of interesting that 5% of the whole late budget will be spent on that. At the same time, part of it is international cooperation actions, and there is well-established collaboration with Brazil and Japan. Brazil is cloud computing, high-performance computing, experimental platforms. Japan, it's more like kind of more advanced technology, optical communications technology, combining big data, Internet of Things in the cloud, access networks for densely located users. I'm watching my friends. How much time do I have? I have 15 more. Good. At the same time, Commission is looking at collaboration with other countries, and they call it high-income countries. Remember that previously they were talking developing, and now they changed the vocabulary. They call high-income countries, US, Canada, East Asia, and Oceania. And this part is very important that we can exchange technology, we can exchange research. At the same time, it's very important to even have partnership, they call it low and middle income countries. And very often, you know, we are looking for the needs of the society out there because there is a mass market and maybe we can make difference with ICT technology. So I think that it's very important as well to share the technology, to influence certain places with and at the same time analyze what the needs are. If you understand, I was kind of going through almost all the areas of ICT. So very often I have a question at the very end, but okay, if we support everything, what's up? I mean, it's good, but so you know, at the very end, money decides how much you support certain areas, and this is those numbers are preliminary because even the working program was decided for 2014. 15, but still there will be discussions about 2015. So those are preliminary numbers, but kind of important in a sense. So you can see that the future internet, it's going to have a lot of money. And I think it's very important because even 5G technology coming with it, and we have a lot of research in Sweden connected to that. You can look at the future internet as distributed system as well. Another part, micro, nano, and photonics, maybe there are strong industries out there in Europe, not maybe in Sweden industry gaining from there. But what is interesting that you have content technologies, which are getting a lot of money, and here there is a chance for Sweden as well to provide certain technologies. We have components and systems, we are good at it, even robotics, factory of the future, so you can kind of go on, and you can see there is even money, as I mentioned, for those risk-filled areas and cross-cutting activities. But this is very important to have in mind what are the priorities. Okay, the last part, ICT in societal challenges. This I'm going just to mention because it's, Andre is going to fill a little bit with money, but not so much with details, but just to give you the whole picture. To start with, you have a lot of those challenges I already mentioned. The first is health, and I won't go through the list because I'm going to do it anyway here. So this kind of interesting approach, which I think that started in Japan a little bit many years ago, the question was, what does it mean to have successful, happy life? And then people were trying to look at it in Japan, that health is very important, security very important. At the same time, of course, you need good industry to provide wealth to the whole system and so on and so on. But I think it's a very interesting approach which is adopted in Sweden by VINNOVA, of course, and other agencies. At the same time, it's becoming part of a horizon. It's very important that you have this holistic view of things, what society, what needs we have. At the same time, we didn't mention that, but Commission, when they look at Horizon, they are conscious about crises we have in Europe. So at the same time, they hope that Horizon would help Europe to overcome those financial crises we have, and you know, unemployment. If you look at Greece and Spain and Portugal and Iceland, you can really kind of go, it's a long list of crises going on. So this is very important, that having those society-oriented goals is very important to move the whole Europe towards happier life. And if you look here, the health, there is a lot of robotics, which is very interesting. Service robotics, because we are aging population, not much Sweden, but another countries like even Germany, Spain, Italy. So this is one of the technologies maybe to be used in the future. Independent living with cognitive impairment, so you know that all the society members, they have the same quality of life. And of course, early risk detection and intervention. But what is interesting that it's again goes towards integrated care in whatever ways, that self-management of health and disease. You know that you can buy sensors around and you can measure and you can gather, and a lot of ideas that you should get this information. It should be more private. You can look at it and maybe share with your wife or children. I don't know, but it's kind of, it's a lot of things happening. There is a lot of technology out there. And now the idea is that we should use it, we should integrate it into existing system. And honestly, health is one of the more traditional areas of industry. Maybe it's good, but at the same time, we should really improve ICT within there. So there is a lot of issues with the health data, e-health interoperability, because I don't think it works even in Sweden so good between different hospitals and areas. Okay, I jump over the food industry because, you know, the ICT is not mentioned there explicitly, but you can imagine all the logistic and all the sensors and the measuring and so on. It will be there as well. But secure, clean and efficient energy, energy efficiency, buildings, consumers. You know, people mentioned green data centers, which means that how to save energy for computing itself is a very important issue. You know that there is, Facebook is opening data centers, it's not from Sweden and so on and so on. So it's kind of, you know, cooling problems and so on. Energy efficiency, the same story, kind of optimize how to measure, how to put light on and off and so on. It's very important, and ICT is perfect for that, to analyze it. Electricity grid, electricity generally, how to, because the idea in the future is that you can send energy between different countries, how to optimize it, how to measure it, smart grids and so on, smart metering. And cities and communities, very important, integration of energy transport and ICT. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, transport again. Here it comes separately. We are talking about cooperative intelligent transport systems because I'm part of certain program committees in Sweden following the automotive industry. And if you look at the car, usually kind of 70% of the car production will be ICT with different ways. And there is a lot of issues connected to security, how you cannot connect it to internet, to share information, gather information, big data, a lot of things connected to that. You know, the Commission mentioned as well green vehicles, how to integration into the transport system and the electricity grid. Those, you know, electric cars of the future, because still it's on the agenda, and I think it's closer than we think. And at the same time, smart cities and communities, integration of all those kind of questions, energy, transport, ICT, and having, they call it lighthouse projects, large-scale demonstration, because they think that there is a lot of technology, time to use it and try and say what, and check what problems we have. Climate, within climate, they mention two problems with waste and water management. It's again how to trace the waste The same with water management, and you can use ICT to optimize it. This was very interesting as well. Europe in a changing world, inclusive, innovative, and elastic societies. And then how to use ICT, 3D modeling, virtual reality for the cultural heritage we have in Europe. And historically, I was part of a project like that. It was in collaboration with UNESCO, how to kind of take care of our heritage, how not to be too American, how to kind of really be local and global at the same time. There were some new forms of innovation from the society point of view, innovation in the public sector. I think that Sweden is doing better than other countries, but always there is possibilities to improve it. Open government, and again, I see it for learning and inclusion, I think is very important. At the same time, secure society is very important, as you know, it's always there. We have all the news in the press, what's going on with the information we put out there, if you want it or not, unfortunately. But anyway, there are other issues coming, kind of more traditional one, cyber attacks, how to avoid it, how to prevent it. But at the same time, trust in the usage of ICT, privacy issue, freedom, how to, it was a problem with Google. They gather all the information you put there when you are searching with Facebook, you give them everything. What is the balance, between what you want to keep private locally and what you want to give away? Everything I'm saying is a kind of moving target a little bit in a sense that there are calls coming within different areas. So when you get this electronically, this pointer is an active one, because otherwise it's very long. You press it and you go directly to this document. And this document is the most important document you will have the coming years. It's the guide to the presence of ICT in Horizon. And this is really hands-on. You can see what calls are out there, what do they cover, and then you can call national contact points and ask them for more details. But this is your roadmap. This is really what you are going to check, and it's a living document, so reload it from time to time. But this is very important. And you are given full electronic version pointed to it. That's it. I don't know if you have general questions, but maybe we can take them together after Andre, because Andre is going to tell you what's up. I mean, because usually I hear a lot of questions, per sentence on. He is the man with Johan, knowing all the details. Okay, thank you. And
yep. So you need to exchange the mic.